He walked into Madison Square Garden in 1996 with a pineapple haircut, tassels on his arms, and a corporate-approved smile that practically begged the crowd to like him. WWE branded him as wrestling royalty, the son of Rocky Johnson, the grandson of Peter Maivia, and told us to cheer. We didn't. Rocky Maivia was supposed to be the next big thing, but to the fans, he was the human version of plain toast. In an era where Stone Cold was chugging beers and flipping off authority, Rocky was preaching hard work and family legacy like he was running for office. And the crowd turned on him fast. "Die, Rocky, die" chants echoed through the arenas. Booed in every city, mocked by the same audience he grew up dreaming to entertain. But what most people didn't see was what it did to him. Backstage, Dwayne Johnson was barely 24, injured, homesick, and humiliated. He'd sacrificed a football career, said goodbye to his family, and committed his life to this. And within months, it was falling apart. Vince was still backing him, but Dwayne was doubting everything. He'd call his dad after shows and try to laugh it off, but deep down, he wasn't sure how much more humiliation he could take. Wrestling was supposed to save him. Now it felt like it was breaking him. This was 1997. The Fresh Prince was cool. The Bulls were untouchable. Tupac and Biggie were redefining rebellion. And Rocky Maivia, he was stuck playing a character that didn't even feel like him. So he stopped playing. If they were going to boo him no matter what, he figured he might as well give them a reason. The smile disappeared. The voice got sharper. The eyebrow went up. And just like that, The Rock was born. The moment he joined the Nation, everything changed. Rocky Maivia was dead. The Rock had arrived. He didn't smile anymore. He talked, loudly, arrogantly, in the third person. He mocked the crowd, insulted legends, and turned every insult into a catchphrase. And the crazy thing? It worked. But this wasn't just character work. It was catharsis. After months of being told he wasn't good enough by fans, by critics, by his own self-doubt, The Rock was finally saying exactly what Dwayne had wanted to scream. He channeled every rejection, every awkward promo, every locker room side-eye into pure venom on the mic. For the first time in his life, he had the power. Not Vince, not the fans, not the writers, just him, a live mic, and thousands of people hanging on every word. And the feeling was electric. It wasn't just confidence, it was control. Every promo he cut, every eyebrow he raised, every time he called a crowd full of people trailer park trash, he felt something shift inside. The fear was gone. The need to be liked was gone. Joining the Nation of Domination gave him cover. It was more than a heel turn. It was an identity, a defiant, militant group in an era when wrestling was shifting into something darker, edgier, and more racially honest. And for Dwayne, who was too black for the Samoan side and too Samoan for the black side, it finally made sense. This was 1998. Wrestling was blurring the line between fiction and real-life rage. MTV was spinning Biggie tributes next to Limp Bizkit. Mike Tyson was biting ears, Jerry Springer was breaking ratings, and The Rock was out here weaponizing charisma like a steel chair. He still wasn't the guy yet, but every week he was becoming that guy. He cut promos sharper than most veterans. His timing was surgical, and when he turned on Farouk and took control of the Nation, it wasn't just a plot twist, it was a coronation. The Rock didn't just find his voice, he realized it was louder than almost anyone else's. Once The Rock broke out of the Nation, he didn't just rise, he skyrocketed. In a company full of giants, he became the main event by sheer gravity. Every time he spoke, people listened. Every time he wrestled, people watched. And when he walked down the ramp, fans didn't just cheer, they exploded. This was when The Rock became the people's champ. Not because he was the nicest, not because he played fair, but because he had it. He could humiliate opponents in the ring, then bury them with a single punchline. And he knew it. That feeling of power, of finally being wanted by the same crowd that once screamed, "Die, Rocky, die," it never left him. But now, it came with pressure. Every segment was a test. Every promo was a performance. And Dwayne, he was thriving under it. This was the late Attitude Era. WWE was white hot. You had chaos on screen, record ratings, and more cable TV censorship complaints than the FCC could handle. But The Rock, he was everywhere. MTV's Total Request Live, the epicenter of pop culture, had Backstreet Boys at number 1 and The Rock on the guest list. He was hosting Saturday Night Live, selling out arenas across continents and turning catchphrases into cultural currency. SmackDown wasn't just a show, it was his show. And deep down, Dwayne knew he had unlocked something special, something timeless. He started main eventing pay-per-views like it was routine. He dropped the corporate champion act and leaned into the one role no one else could touch. The guy who could make you laugh, make you cheer, and still drop you with a rock bottom. But this era also changed him. It was the first time he looked at his life and saw more than just wrestling. There were movie offers now, magazine covers, fan chants from Tokyo to Toronto. And for the first time, he felt bigger than the ring. Not because he wanted to leave, but because the world outside was finally calling him by name. By 2002, The Rock wasn't just the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, he was a box office experiment in motion. The Scorpion King dropped, raked in $165 million, and suddenly, Dwayne Johnson wasn't just headlining pay-per-views, he was headlining movie posters. The Brahma Bull had gone Hollywood. And success off-screen came with a price inside the ring. He came back leaner, glossier, and more polished, and the fans could feel it. The guy who once called crowds trailer park trash was now too famous to insult them. And just like that, the same people who once cheered every catchphrase started booing. And this time, it hit different, because now it wasn't about bad booking or a gimmick that didn't work. It was personal. The fans were telling him, "You left us." So he leaned into it. He became a Hollywood heel, smug, turtleneck wearing, sideburns sharpened. The Rock started roasting the audience, mocking other wrestlers for not being movie stars, and walking into matches like he had somewhere more important to be. And yet, he was still magic. He tore the house down with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18. He made WrestleMania 19 feel like a movie finale with Austin. What the crowd didn't know was, that was Austin's last match. And for Dwayne, it wasn't just a storyline ending. It was saying goodbye to the man who made him. Every return was an event. Every promo was a master class. He was playing to the crowd and above it at the same time. But beneath all the showmanship, something deeper was happening. Dwayne had outgrown the business. Not emotionally, not in terms of love, but in scale. He couldn't fly commercial anymore without getting mobbed. Studios were calling, scripts were waiting. Insurance companies didn't want him getting hit with steel chairs on a Sunday and shooting on Monday. And the truth was, he missed wrestling more than wrestling missed him. The roar of the crowd still gave him goosebumps, but now it ended in silence. Hotel rooms, early call times, and a schedule that didn't chant his name back. This was the era where The Rock became Dwayne Johnson. And even though he was still delivering rock bottoms, he was quietly building a new foundation, one where the ring was no longer the final destination. By 2005, The Rock had vanished. Not officially, not with some retirement speech, he just stopped showing up. There were no farewell matches, no big send-off. One day he was there and the next, Hollywood had him. And it wasn't that he didn't care, it's that the machine didn't stop moving without him. WWE moved on, new stars came up, Cena was rising, Batista was main eventing, the ruthless aggression era was in full swing. And while fans still chanted Rocky every once in a while, it felt like the echo of a name the company didn't want to say out loud. Dwayne was gone, but The Rock had become a myth. Every now and then he'd show up, a random appearance on Raw, a backstage segment, a promo via satellite that reminded everyone just how good he still was. He didn't need to wrestle anymore. He could steal the show with one eyebrow and 2 insults. But these cameos weren't just for fun. They were therapy. For him and for the fans. Because as much as he loved Hollywood, the scripts, the premieres, the global fame, nothing felt like stepping through that curtain. Even for 5 minutes. Even just to talk. But there was distance now. He wasn't one of the boys anymore. He was doing Disney movies, shaking hands with producers, getting name-dropped by Oprah. Meanwhile, the fans were split. Half cheered like he was still the king. The other half rolled their eyes like he was that ex who only texts when it's convenient. And Dwayne felt that. He still loved the business, but the more time passed, the more it felt like he was a guest in a house he used to own. So he played the role he was given. The legend who pops in, reminds you what charisma actually looks like, and then vanishes into the smoke again. Not retired, not full-time, just orbiting, because deep down, both he and the audience knew he'd be back. When The Rock came back in 2011, it wasn't a nostalgia act, it was a reawakening. Gone was the lean, charming trash talker we remembered. This Rock was huge, physically transformed, traps like mountains, veins like road maps. He wasn't just back, he looked like he'd been cast to play himself in a movie about himself. Because he had. Fast 5 had just hit theaters. Dwayne Johnson, now built like a Marvel villain, wasn't just making box office noise, he was making Hollywood pay attention. And yet, with everything going right out there, he still chose to come back in here, back to the ring, back to where it all started. The return wasn't quiet. He showed up on Raw and called out the entire industry, called John Cena a phony, mocked his merchandise, said he looked like a bowl of fruity pebbles, and the crowd ate it up. But this wasn't just a storyline, it was personal. Cena had carried the company while The Rock was gone. He'd called him out in interviews, accused him of abandoning the fans. And that got under Dwayne's skin more than anyone expected. Because deep down, he'd always wrestled with guilt. This feud gave him a reason to come back swinging. Their promos blurred into real life. The tension backstage was real. The locker room was divided. Some saw Cena as the future. Some still saw The Rock as the standard. And the audience? They just wanted war. And they got it. WrestleMania 28, Rock vs. Cena, once-in-a-lifetime main event in Miami. He won it clean, and the crowd erupted like it was 1999 again. Something unexpected. He stuck around. He didn't just beat Cena. He came back the next year and lost to him at WrestleMania 29. And that loss, that was intentional. Because he understood something most legends don't. It's not about protecting your legacy. It's about passing it on. And in those 2 years, The Rock didn't just return. He reminded the world what it meant to show up, show out, and give back. By 2014, The Rock wasn't just the biggest name in wrestling. He was the biggest name outside of it. This was the Dwayne Johnson era, the one where he stopped being a wrestler who made it in Hollywood and became a Hollywood powerhouse who used to wrestle. He was headlining blockbusters like San Andreas, Central Intelligence, Moana, and Jumanji. But he didn't forget where he came from. He'd show up when you least expected it. Every appearance felt like a glitch in the Matrix, like the Attitude Era had suddenly booted up in the middle of a PG show. And every time he walked through the curtain, it was like time stopped. Because even though he wasn't wrestling, his presence was the main event. Behind the scenes, he was producing shows, launching brands, running a tequila company, and becoming the highest-paid actor in the world. For kids growing up during this time, The Rock wasn't a wrestler. He was Maui. He was Hobbs. He was the smile on every billboard in Times Square and the punchline in every late-night monologue. And that duality, of being everywhere and yet still rooted in the ring, made him untouchable. He didn't need a title. He didn't need a feud. He didn't even need a storyline. Just one raised eyebrow on live TV, and the entire arena would lose its mind. This wasn't The Rock chasing greatness anymore. This was greatness orbiting him. By 2020, The Rock was a myth. He wasn't expected to come back. Not really. Then the Bloodline happened. Roman Reigns turned heel. Paul Heyman whispered in his ear. And slowly, the entire Anoa'i Ai family tree became a storyline, a legacy, a kingdom. And everyone asked the same question. Where's The Rock? Because if Roman was the head of the table, what did that make him? For years, WWE teased it. Commenters danced around it like it was Voldemort. The fans were fantasy booking WrestleMania long before WWE ever confirmed a thing. And then, it finally happened. WrestleMania 40. The lights went down, the crowd hit 130 decibels, and The Rock didn't walk out with a smile. He walked out with authority. The final boss. This was a man who demanded Cody Rhodes' soul like he was collecting debts. This wasn't about legacy anymore. This was about control, about proving he could still bend the company around his presence and maybe reminding himself he hadn't lost a step. He stood side by side with Roman, teamed up with Cena. Yes, that Cena. He hijacked the main event, and the entire Bloodline story bent around him like gravity. But behind the scenes, things weren't so smooth. Creative disagreements, backstage rewrites, a supposed once-in-a-lifetime moment was suddenly looking like a one-night swerve. Because when night 2 came, The Rock was gone. No match, no resolution, just silence. Rumors exploded. Did he back out? Was it politics, ego, or was this all just Act 1 of something bigger? Whatever the reason, he left us asking the question WWE lives for. What happens next? So now we're here. Decades after his debut, after the chants and catchphrases, the heel turns and heel kicks, after Hollywood bloodlines and broken storylines, The Rock stands not just as a wrestler, but as a monument. He's not on the roster, he's not holding a belt, but his shadow still moves the company. A tease here, a promo there, a raised eyebrow, and the internet loses its mind. Because even in 2025, The Rock doesn't have to wrestle to feel present. He's not just in the conversation, he is the conversation. He exists now at that rare level only a few ever reach, where kayfabe, real life, and pop culture all blur into one unstoppable narrative. Jordan, Ali, Beyonce. You say the name, and it echoes. And yet, even now, there's still a question hanging in the air. Will he finish the story? Will he face Roman one-on-one? Will he let Cody hand him that receipt? Or will he vanish again? The truth is, he doesn't need to finish anything, because he already did. From the smiling rookie no one believed in, to the heel who turned hate into heat, to the icon who became a global force, The Rock didn't follow the blueprint. He was the blueprint. And whether he ever wrestles again or not, his presence will keep shaping the business, because every wrestler trying to go mainstream, they're following his footsteps. Every fan who hears that electrifying intro still holds their breath hoping it's him. Because The Rock was never just a superstar. He was a generation. And some legacies don't end with a 3 count. They just keep electrifying.